Hi, everybody. It's Annie. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I'm talking about my childhood home. As a reminder, this month is about my journey to home, and I'm going to take you on different locations that I have called home over the years. And so today's video is about my childhood home. So let's get started with the makeup product. Today's product is the Sephora Retractable Brow Pencil in the shade Soft Charcoal. This is waterproof and it is from Sephora. There is a spoolie end and a retractable brow pencil. So this is my natural brows here, and what I'm going to do is just brush them up before I start filling them in. This is my go-to eyebrow pencil for everyday use. Sometimes I like to glue my brows up to give myself a more lifted look or fluffy eyebrows, but usually if I don't do that, this is what the routine is. So my brows naturally are pretty full, and this just helps me kind of fill in those gaps. And I just go in where I feel like it needs a little bit more color, and I'm just gonna lightly fill that in. Very soft strokes. I don't want it too dark, and I don't want it look like I'm actually wearing anything. So I'm going to go really soft, and then as I do that, I am brushing my brows to make sure that it's blending and filling. It's going to do that on both ends. This area right there just needs a little filling in, and it looks really good. I mean, there's not much to do, but I'm just doing different strokes to kind of fill in the color. I'm just gonna keep doing that. I like to go from the top just so that I know where the top is, and then I also like to draw lines this way to help make it look like the actual eyebrow or the hairs. But I do this so that I know how tall it needs to go. And I just go where my natural brow usually goes. And as I fill those in, I am going to use the other side to really spool the brows and make them blend. So they're a little bit more full now, and it's not a big difference. It's a very subtle look. That is my go-to brow look. It is the Sephora Retractable Brow Pencil in the shade Soft Charcoal. Love it. And it is waterproof. All right, let's get started with the video. My childhood home, I grew up in low-income government housing in a predominantly white city. I went to school with kids who came from middle to upper middle class families. And in our low-income housing community, there was many people of color and also other first-generation kids and families as well. It taught me a lot about how to adapt, and it taught me early the socioeconomic systems that exist in America and how I can really use that and leverage that to build generational wealth and grow from my environment of poverty. And so I take a lot of that experience from my childhood and also my experience from school and education and being around families who are a little bit more established. I have taken all of that information to really understand where I'm going and what I want to build in this life. And so I'm very grateful that there was government housing that was located in that specific area so that I could go to school with families who were a little bit more stable, that showed me the other possibilities that I could have in my future in terms of education and stability. It was a bit difficult to kind of understand and unpack those systems of America, especially being first generation. We had this very cultural shock experience of the environment at home and then going to school and having to really adapt in a very, very established history of American culture of capitalism. Being a kid, being a child, having to learn that through experience, through interactions with other people, that was a lot to balance as a child. And so having the wisdom of both experiences does not come without its costs. And a lot of that is experiencing racism and classism. And a lot of that is having to grow up faster than kids need to as first generation kids. I think a lot of first generation kids can understand how childhood, even though we had our great moments, we did have to grow up and adapt pretty quickly because we had to really achieve more in one lifetime in order for the next generation to be set up for success. And so I love my first generation kids. It's a different type of resilience. So shout out to my first gen kids. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the positive and negatives of growing up in a low income housing community. The positives is I have lifelong childhood friends who understand me so deeply and I understand them so deeply because going from poverty to stability is a journey, and having people with you who understand that journey is very meaningful and is very, very special. It's so fun. I have so many fond memories. All the kids would come out and we'd play a lot of different games. We had some games called Tip, we had games called Tuk Tuk, we had games called Predator and Prey, Cops and Robbers. Sometimes we would take like quarters and, spare change, and we would walk to the stores to get sunflower seeds or candy. And it would just be a couple kids walking on a big little road, going and getting little snacks. It was a big, big family. We all looked out for each other, and we all were really just very community based. We spent a lot of our time outside, outdoors, being with each other, and it was really beautiful, really, really beautiful. So those are the positive memories that I have with growing up in low income housing and being first generation. Some of the negatives were that everybody in that environment was living in survival. Coming specifically for me, my parents coming from war, there's a lot of PTSD. There is a lot of having to rebuild the community and learn a new language and learning to adapt in the American system while raising children. And so you have to learn how to give your children the skills that you were taught, but then also knowing that the rules have changed because you're in a different country. I think it's safe to say that a lot of our community experienced traumatic childhoods, and that comes with a lot of mental health issues. It really impacts how you view and experience your environment and the world moving forward. And that's just the reality of being first generation. The beauty of it is that we have the tools to really heal, and we have the community to really do that together. I think that's what's most powerful about it, is that we aren't doing it alone. We still have each other, and we made it a pretty good distance, I will say. It's pretty incredible knowing that I made it out of survival. And remembering all of those tough memories and remembering all of the things that I survived, it's pretty freaking incredible that I am where I am. Grew up in poverty, grew up around abuse, experienced racism, classism, and I was not supposed to make it. Okay. I'm also dyslexic, so I don't know how I graduated with a bachelor's degree. I really don't. But I did. And so I did a pretty damn good job with my life so far. And I'm only 27, so this is just the beginning, really. So I look back and it's pretty incredible. Very proud of myself. And I know I'm not alone. There's a lot of beautiful stories just like mine from the community that I was born in, and I would love for you to hear those stories on my Planter Roots podcast. So tune in and continue to support my mission and my journey, because you're going to be inspired by the other stories that you will hear. although I came from a shit start, truly, like a shit start, um, I've also been incredibly blessed in this lifetime, really. I have meaningful friendships. I have childhood friendships. I have people who see me past all of my trauma and my toxic behaviors and sees my heart and sees the person I'm growing into and becoming, and having that sense of community and family and friends is really powerful, and very blessed to have people who love me deeply. And I also am blessed to have an immediate family who continuously does the work to unlearn toxic behaviors so that we can build and make healthy choices for ourselves and for the next generation. So, been blessed with family who want to do that. I also been blessed with a healthy marriage with my high school sweetheart. We both came from traumatic childhoods, and we both came from very toxic environments, and I am very blessed to have my husband Keith. We have done a lot of work, a lot of healing, and a lot of unlearning to really build a strong foundation. But we we did it, and we're doing it. And so, very blessed to have him. We have every reason to stay bitter and stay dysfunctional and stay traumatized, but we choose every single day to do better and be healthy and create new memories and break toxic generational patterns. And so it's a choice that we make every single day. And so even, I'm very blessed, but it's something that I work intentionally on every single day. All of that work makes me build different. And the success that I have moving forward is going to be well deserved because of how incredibly hard and intentional I have built this part of my life so far. And really, it's going to be incredible. What you're going to see in the future is going to be absolutely incredible, and it's going to be well deserved because you know how hard I worked to be here, where I am right now. It's pretty incredible. Everything I do is for my first gen kids. It's for my Hmong people, and it's for women. So, thank you for listening. That is part one of my journey to home. This is the start, and I'm starting with my childhood home. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and you will see me next week. Bye.